because marketing without an objective is like, searching for a treasure without a map. You could find it, you could get to it. It could take longer, it could take shorter, but having a map and having some milestones and knowing you passed the tree on the left and the bucket on the right and you're getting closer. I think that's the only way to do marketing these days.
So it's so wonderful, Karen, to have you here on Leadtail TV. Thank you so much for joining. And I love what you do in the world and the stuff that you're building around, especially your passion project with elevating women entrepreneurs. And just, yeah, such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you bet. Well, let's just jump right in. I'd love to ask you about, the fact that you spent a decade and a half working with Microsoft, including some of the early days on now iconic products like Office 365. What do you think has changed from then to now?
Yeah, so it's been a long time. I actually joined Microsoft long ago when we launched Windows 95, which was in 1996. At the time, marketing was a totally different beast at the time. It was talking about converging the different Office products in full page ads in the newspaper. The biggest decisions was it going to be black and white or full color? Nothing was online yet. Very exciting times. And I started my career in Israel at Microsoft in Israel, which was a very high-tech company then, but still in a very developing area. So it was very exciting. I was also, at the time, Microsoft was very open to giving opportunities to a lot of people. So I was actually offered to run the small and medium business division for all of Middle East and Africa. So I had an opportunity as a woman coming from Israel, pretty young at the time, to help the countries across Middle East and Africa, including Saudi, Dubai, Ivory Coast, South Africa, Egypt, Morocco, and a few others, build up their small and medium business. So I feel like I had a wonderful opportunity at Microsoft to actually learn and delve into new arenas that weren't specifically what I had studied or what I had worked on before.
Wow. That's incredible. So I'm curious. I want to, there's so many different avenues to go into on everything that you just said. And what's coming up for me is, well, first of all, what that was like to move from the roles that you had. Was that a challenge or was that an exciting challenge? And was it a difficult where would you put it on difficulty at that time in your career?
Yeah, so it was quite different, both the subject matter itself and then the media was changing. So when I moved into this partner program, it was the emergence of what was called portals, which are now websites. And we had this great new tool where we could actually deliver information and educate people through the web. So not only was it a new arena for me, the small and medium business and sales and business development, but also in a new medium that the world actually was just discovering. What was always great about Microsoft is you worked in these teams where I worked for the Middle East and Africa and for Israel. And then we had the European team and the corporate team. So everyone was working together to learn this new media together and helped us through the thick and the thin.
Oh my gosh. I want to jump into what it was like as a woman when you were working at that time, and the difference between how you felt you were treated as a woman in the early days at Microsoft, and how you see being treated or being received and being treated in a startup would being like in a startup today. Do you see the differences, or is there much?
Yeah, so I think when I look back at career at Microsoft, and it was, not very small when I started, but it got really, really big before I left. I think there was actually a lot of opportunities for women, and I think a lot of mentors were there as women, and a lot of women in management already at Microsoft. So there was a good ecosystem to be able to learn from and sort of look up to. I think the biggest difference I felt moving into startups, because they are just technically so small. Most of the startups I started with were, 10 to 15 people at the beginning. Um, I found myself a lot of times the only woman around the table or the only woman in the company, which does make a big difference. It just seems this whole notion of old boys club, which seems so in the past, it still exists. And there's certain things and certain nuances that just aren't um, accepted in the same ways when you're in a very small room with being the only woman. And, we talked about the passion I have. And I think, the power I was given at Microsoft and the empowerment and being amongst, different types of people in different places as a woman really helped me launch my career. And I want to help others in that position just to understand that position and be able to launch their careers and grow and be successful.
I'm wondering, as you look back on your career, what brought you to this point, to where you feel intentional, and to where you feel laser pointed at working with women?
I think as you move on in business and in life, you realize things that you want to take on and make better. So whether it's the role I'm in, whether it's the environment I'm in, whether it's a future that I want to see, and that's sort of where I've taken this position. So if at first in my career I was learning my new roles, learning new medium, learning management, today I feel like I can take that expertise and all that, what I learned and what I've seen from the environment, translate it and pass it on to help people sort of skip step and get there faster and not have to learn it all on their own.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I mean, what a great place to be, where you can help mentor almost, people to do that. As an angel investor and consultant, and knowing how intentional you are with the work and elevating female founders and entrepreneurs, what excites you about what women are doing in tech today?
What I see coming out of women today is everything. I mean, from cybersecurity to social businesses to health tech to deep tech and AI, and it's just amazing. And I'm not versed in all of those areas, but just to see the women that are and how they build teams around them that complement them to help strengthen the pieces that they aren't strong at, whether it's the management piece, whether it's the tech piece, whether it's HR, whether it's sales. Um, I just see women daring more. And that's why, in the beginning part of our conversation, we need to have the other side of that, the women that are investing in these women and believe in them. So I'm also involved in a few investment platforms that actually their goals are to bring more women into investment. So Portfolio is one of those where they actually encourage women to start investing in tech and be angel investors, even in small chunks of money. So I find that really exciting, sort of the women helping women succeed.
Oh, that's neat. Wow. So I love the idea of communities building around what you're talking about, and people are corralling and helping each other to create more of, I guess, a unification around different areas where the specialties maybe that you're talking about are happening. So then you're creating a community maybe that's helping to support that, so that it's not happening even more, and everybody can help. A rising tide lifts all boats, right? So
Yeah.
you guys are creating that so that everybody can help each other. That's
Exactly.
neat.
So yeah, so another one of my passion projects is just creating a circle of connections. So um, introducing people, I mean, is I think connecting people is one of my superpowers. No matter who I talk to, someone just moved to Portland, someone just came here, someone changed jobs. I always have someone to connect them to. It could be on a business level, it could be on a personal level, it could be finding a nanny, it could be finding a vendor. So I think the way the world works is people in relationships. I mean, there's all this stuff in the world, but someone's making it, someone's selling it, someone's buying it, someone needs it.
Yeah.
So to me, every connection to a person, it just opens up a whole, flow of additional people. And even if the first connection isn't, someone will connect someone in the end. So, I don't believe it's just a women's thing to connect. I feel like a lot of women feel more comfortable within a network of women, but I think connections in general are what moves the world. And people are people. And from going back to the early days and the beginning of our conversation, I mean, working as a woman throughout the Middle East, I just loved the people, loved working with people and the connections I made there. And I think that's been a part of my life, all the way through.
You are speaking my love language. I wrote a book called Human to Human, and that my whole platform, my whole everything, my whole being is in how humans connect with other humans and how they share and how they create together. So we could go on and on and on now that I know where you're coming from. But we only have so much time together. So now we have many interviews that we have to line up. Of course I'm kidding, but that I love this conversation. But I also want to know what your role looks like in startup companies that you work with. Like, how do you dig in, or do you stay like apart from them as you invest? Is there different ways that you work with them? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, it really depends on my official role in the company. As a CMO, I've always been, I love that piece. I love just being in it, doing all the roles, looking across the entire business. I spent 2 years at Microsoft in a business planning role, which was a very big divergent from my marketing role, working at the time with Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer, Kevin Johnson on business planning for Microsoft. I mean, from the top levels all the way down to delivering content to 20,000 employees at a sales and marketing meeting. So, when I'm CMO of a company, that's my being. I mean, you can go back in my LinkedIn and, which years I was at which companies, because that's what I live and breathe. As a consultant, I definitely become a trusted business partner with the CEO and the executive team. So I want to work with them to solve problems, and not always marketing problems can be defined just as marketing. There could be challenges in different arenas. So even if you're creating demand, maybe there's something on the website or in the product or in the service that's not working, and that's what's causing the bumps. And then as an investor, which is the most sort of remote kind of role, I'm just always there for them. I get WhatsApp, text, email messages every day from entrepreneurs saying, hey, I have this challenge. I just need to think, should I make this decision or that decision? Should I hire a CMO? How much should I invest in TikTok advertising? Even the smallest to the biggest question, as you said, human to human, a lot of these jobs, especially as a founder, an entrepreneur, or in a startup, you're really alone. There's one CEO, there's maybe one marketing person, and you want to bounce ideas off of people. So I'm always here to listen, and constantly giving out help. I think everything you give, you get back.
Oh man, I can't stop wondering why there are not more of you in the world. That this is like what we need more of. There's a lot of things that have just constantly just worked, and they're solid pillars that always work. And I'm wondering, do you notice the differences in approach that you took today that you wouldn't have taken back in the Microsoft days, or things that just work that back then that still work today?
There's a lot of things that have changed a lot. So I think over the years, PR has had a huge change. But the pillars of marketing are there. I mean, I see three pillars in marketing always. It's awareness, education, and credibility. So in everything I do that's marketing, those pillars are there. You need to generate awareness, for who you are, whether you're a person, whether you're a company, sort of what you do. So educate, you can recognize a logo. There's a lot of logos we all recognize and go, no, is that like a drug or is that a software, and then there's educating people on what you do. And then I think the big piece of everything is credibility, whether you're meeting a new person and who's introducing you, whether it's a product and who else is using it. And so to me, those are the pillars that have been steadfast. The medium has changed.
You've got all this fantastic knowledge. You're intentional about working with women, but there is a lot of women, and I'm sure they could use you, but you only have, again, all this time to be able to either invest or work with them. Where do you put your focus, and how do you decide that?
Again, it's people. It's meeting people and getting that first feeling of this person. How intentional are they? Why are they doing what they are doing? Do I think this is something that's going to change the world for the better? So if I'm lucky enough to have the choice, I'd rather work on a product that I think is going to help us in the longer term, and not just a widget to help a widget be faster than another widget. So today, in the place where I sit, those are the way I make my choices. I look at the people behind it, I looked at the investors behind it, and I definitely look at the product and what it's bringing to the world.
You describe your approach to marketing as objective based, and I'd love to know what you mean by that.
Yeah, so I think I've built this sort of approach, and I don't think it's unique just to me, but over time. But marketing is such a huge realm of things. Take for example, a nonprofit. You can market to the people who are going to benefit from it. You can market to donors. You can there's so much marketing you can do. You really need to pick a few objectives and market to those objectives. Today, it used to be long ago where you'd put an ad in a newspaper. I was there. You pick the newspaper carefully, but it's sort of spray and pray, and you hope people are going to see the ad. You may have some keywords, or you may have different phone numbers for different areas of different messaging or something. You may try to figure it out. But today, the marketing is so measurable that picking an objective, and a pretty finite one that how to measure well, and makes a lot of sense and makes you very efficient marketing. So if you're looking to target a certain target audience and have them either purchase or have them engage more with your product, that's what your marketing should be pushing. So your messaging depends on it, your medium depends on it, your frequency depends on it, how you measure it depends on it. Because marketing without an objective is like, searching for a treasure without a map. You could find it, you could get to it. It could take longer, it could take shorter, but having a map and having some milestones and knowing you passed the tree on the left and the bucket on the right, and you're getting closer. I think that's the only way to do marketing these days. You really have to have a lot of analytics. It doesn't have to be, big, huge software analytics. It can be an Excel spreadsheet, but you really need to measure what you're doing and know what your goal is in order to know if you succeeded or not.
Oh yeah. Spray and pray. I haven't heard that one for a long time. But I totally agree. I've also used and heard throw mud at the wall, and some others. And I remember, even pasting and cutting the ads off the Kodak copy machine and putting it in and then making the newspaper ad before Cork Express came out.
Aldous PageMaker.
Aldous PageMaker. Oh my gosh. Right. Yes. And so, right. We have to pick and choose now the one or two or three things that we want to get done, because you can see the outcomes, or you can
Yeah.
at least see what's happening in real time. That's so true. Last thing I want to ask you, and it's actually my favorite thing, because I'm so passionate about this, which is you are a super connector. As you said earlier in the conversation, you love connecting with people, which melts my heart. And also in that you're specifically about community, and that being important in business and in marketing and in life. What about community, and how are you approaching community in what you do?
Yeah, so one of the initiatives I've launched is called Karen's Connection Circle, and it's just for that matter. So um, it's about bringing together a curated group of people to meet in between 10 and 15 people to be able to discuss and talk and meet each other just for the sake of creating a community that's going to help each other out with things they need in the future, whether it's finding jobs, new friendships. And it's not limited to women. It's a mix of women and men, but it's an ability for people to reach out and meet new people in these days and times. That's very difficult. And, when people are busy and with careers and kids and whatever's, it's nice to take a pause and be able to find a way to connect with new people and find new connections. So I'm calling Karen's Connection Circle, and it will live on beyond the face-to-face meeting. So we're going to have a group, and people will be able to chat and continue to leverage each other and enjoy each other's community.
Wow, that's so fun. And how H to H of you is it going to be actually? So this is in person you're talking about.
It is the idea is to do it in person. It'll start out here in the Bay Area, and the idea is to gather, get a little brief about each person. And as I said, it is curated, so people will sort of apply to be part of this. And I want to make sure that we have people that are interesting to other people, or maybe fill the needs that other people need. And then it'll be a kind of either drinks and appetizers or dinner. Each time it's going to be a little bit different, so it'll be exciting and new. And yeah, it'll be great. I'd love to have people join, and anyone that wants to meet new people and give and get, that's what it's for.
Very cool. And where would people find out more information about this?
Yeah, you can look up Karen's Connection Circle, and you'll find the website, and you'll see it there.
Okay. Well, definitely going to go do that. Thank you so much for being here on LeadTail TV and just sharing yourself. It's been wonderful. I love your approach to everything that you've done, everything that you do, and what you bring to women entrepreneurs, and your consulting practice, and everything that you have been doing. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and I'd love to come back at any time.
Yeah, please do. Obviously we've got more stuff to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much.